Now, with a look at what's ahead in Europe, I'm joined by Real Money's Antonia Oprita. Antonia, always good to see you.
Good to see you.
And since the Brexit vote, of course, there's been all sorts of questions about what this has actually meant. And I guess we'll get some information this week, including on Wednesday, when we find out about public finances in the UK.
Yes, indeed, the Office for Budget Responsibility will release the monthly figures for the fiscal situation. Usually July is the best month of the year for public finances because this is when a lot of corporate tax receipts and a lot of tax revenue from the self-employed is going into the Treasury's coffers. But this year, July was actually a pretty weak month. There was indeed a surplus. It was about £1 billion, but that was £200 million lower than last year and £900 million below market expectations. It's too early to say whether this had anything to do with the Brexit vote. So this is why we're watching the August figures that are released on Wednesday to see whether a trend is forming there.
And Antonia, obviously we'll learn more as well about another important part of the economy, and that is the housing market. So what are the expectations there?
Well, the mortgage lending has dropped quite dramatically in July. It was down 30% month on month and 12% year on year. And for first-time buyers, it was even worse. First-time buyers borrowing fell by about 19% month on month. So we are going to see whether this trend continues, because if mortgage lending continues to fall, it's a bad sign for the housing market. And first-time buyers are quite worried about finding themselves in negative equity, taking on huge debt to buy a house, and then just seeing the price of that house falling with uncertainty because of Brexit.
So a lot going on in the UK next week, and then I guess Moodys is going to try to wrap it all up for us, releasing a report on what's happening with the economy at the end of the week. Any chatter on what to look for in that report?
Yeah, I think it's too early to look for an actual change in the rating. Remember that Moodys lowered their outlook for the UK economy on the day when we found out the result of the referendum on June 24. They changed their outlook to negative from stable, and they're rating the UK AA. I don't think they're going to take any decision on the rating, but they are going to comment on the economy, and they have already said that in the years of negotiation with the EU, they're expecting a lot of uncertainty, which could mean lowered confidence and lowered spending, which would weigh on the economy. But on the plus side, the UK has very strong institutions, and they can raise to the challenge and cope with any weakness that arises. At least that was Moody's conclusion in their first assessment immediately after the vote.
Well, a lot to watch for in the coming week. Antonia Oprita, thanks for walking us through some of those reports. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm Rhonda Schaffler for The Street.